Welcome, welcome. We've got a great method here today, and this is on a men's shirt placket. Now, the same exact method is used for women's, so it can be men or women's shirt placket. This is what it looks like when it's finished. These are using different colors. Generally, a placket would be all the same colors, but there are some designers, Calvin Klein, who will come in and use some different colors. So when you're trying to duplicate something like that, just notice which piece is done differently. All right, so this is really what I love about this method is the very first time I did it, I did pretty darn good. So I thought I like that method. I got this method from a friend of mine who does custom shirts in New York City. This has been a lifelong friend, and he was very willing to share with me how he did them and how he's made millions of dollars doing custom shirts. So this is a great method. I'm going to start off. We have a shirt pattern in the silhouette line. It's 6012. It's called George's shirt. And it has all the markings here, but I cut this out so that you could see those are actually, you don't want to cut those lines when you're cutting out the shirt. Just leave those lines. I guess for some reason I thought if I cut it and said no, don't, that would be better than saying don't cut. So don't cut those lines out, so that when you get to your shirt, this is what it's going to look like. And you're going to have two pieces. There's a larger piece, or I call it a larger piece, and then there's a smaller piece. And it doesn't matter, I'm going to kind of do it upside down so that you can see it right side up. I am starting on the wrong side of the fabric. With this fabric it's kind of hard to tell. This is what your smaller piece looks like. This is what your larger piece looks like. These pieces vary quite a bit in different shirt patterns, and there's nothing wrong with yours being different, but this is just what we're starting with and so what we're showing you. So if you notice when you lay these two pieces together, the middle between these is a 1/2 inch, the markings on the pattern. So you're just going to stitch a 1/4 inch from what would be the middle and a 1/4 inch on each side, and those will actually create that box that is marked on the pattern. So that's actually a stitching box, but you want to put the pieces down before you stitch. Now the easiest way to remember this is when you have your sleeve, there's a bigger part of the sleeve and a smaller part of the sleeve, and the bigger piece goes to the bigger side and the smaller piece goes to the smaller side. Now remember, this is the right side of the piece goes against the wrong side of the fabric. So this is the wrong side of the sleeve, these are the right side of the pieces. Okay? So the right side of the pieces are down against the wrong side of the fabric. So I'm going to stitch this rectangular box, and I do want to make sure that I stitch carefully. I haven't cut it yet, but go ahead and do your stitching. When you come up here, just make sure you stitch far enough up, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Don't worry about that just yet. And then once I do, I'll cut up the middle, and then I'll cut a triangle to the corner and to the corner. And that little triangle is what I'm going to press up, but like I said, now don't worry about it. Just cut up, corner, corner, just like you would a welt, like we've shown on a welt pocket. Okay, so now my folding begins, and the first fold I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this piece just right in half to the stitch line. And I can press that, or I can make the next fold. The next fold I'm going to press is right to the actual cut line. And once you've made those two presses, just fold. I love this iron. I don't get paid by this company, but I really love this iron. It's the Rowenta, it's the DG5080. Okay, so that side's done. So there was two folds. Remember, one was just to the stitching, one was in half. That's taken care of. Now this side is where my little point is. Some of these are longer, and it doesn't matter the order, but I'm going to press a seam allowance in, which my seam allowance is 3/8, and again, this won't work with a 5/8. You need to keep it to a 3/8. So I'm going to do a seam allowance in, then press the little triangle at the top. And the nice thing is it's easy enough to press it, and once you press it, it stays in place, especially with most of these cottons that I use. And then I use 3/8 there and press that. And then I'm going to take this folded edge right there and fold it all the way to the cut edge again. And you see you get this beautiful type placket. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it to the right side, and I'm simply going to pull this around, and it will pull very easily. My little triangle there will flip up, and I actually want it to flip up, And actually, not only do I want it to flip up, but I'm going to press it up. And it's important that you when you clipped all the way to those points, so that if you notice on the wrong side of the sleeve, I don't have any raw edges. All of that's been pulled through to this side. So I pull this piece to this side, and I'm going to stitch, and it doesn't matter which side you stitch from. I actually usually, once I've got it turned to that side, it will lay beautifully flat. I usually stitch from this side because there's the seam, and if you look on the next one I'm going to show you. Now this next sample, what I did is I did it with different colors. You can see it's better to kind of stitch right there where you can see. So that's what I did. I usually stitch from this side. Even though you flip it to this side, you can stitch anywhere along here, but I feel always better when I'm looking at this side and I can kind of see where I'm stitching. Alright, but that's the right side, so it's been stitched, and you pull it out. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing to this. I'm going to pull the big side out now, and again you can see that that triangle and everything is flipping up. This will lay underneath it, and that will cover it. And I'm going to kind of pick that up and press all those seams into that flap. And then I'm going to lay that flap on top, and you'll see now when you've pulled them to the right side that this triangle portion will cover this smaller portion underneath. Alright, I'm just going to put that aside because here what I've done is I've stitched it for you. So here we are. This is the part that I flipped in. I've stitched along here, and now what I want to do is I want to put a pin where I need to do that horizontal. There's a horizontal, and the purpose for that horizontal stitch is to make sure that the opening there is concealed and doesn't show. So when I put a pin there, and then when I start stitching, you can see I start up this side, up, around it, and usually there's a little double row of stitching right in here. It doesn't really matter, you could do one row, but generally just to make it look even there, it goes up, and then a little rectangular box there, and that's it. That's as hard as that placket gets, and you can notice by doing the 2 rows there, I've caught the inside as well. And again, this is all different colors just so I can see the parts easily. And then if you transfer that into a regular sleeve placket, you'll see that's what it looks like. And it's beautifully done. Very easy to do, very quick to do. And again, it's a sleeve placket, men's, women's, either one. They just look fabulous. Alright, so happy sewing from Silhouette Patterns.